From the studios at the Connecticut School of Broadcasting in Charlotte, this is Adrian Brown with As the Buckle Turns. You know what? All you people who've listened so far, I am absolutely humbled. Just looking at my numbers and looking at the downloads and the number of views and the amount of viewing time, listening time, or whatever it is you want to say. I want to say I'm truly humbled. Maybe I'm saying some things that you want to hear. Maybe you just simply, listen from a share from somebody else. It doesn't matter. I appreciate every single one of you. And it's a truly humbling thing as somebody who's just doing this mainly for, an educational thing, but also using this as an avenue to get some things off my chest that I've been thinking about when it came to the wrestling business for a long time. I just never had a way to get it through because, most of these people, they're not going to bring regular fans on to talk at all because they're not going to want to, ruin their reputations or bring in anybody with any type of dissenting opinion, just like the same way they probably block people on their social media claiming they don't want their timeline covered up with idiocy or whatever they say. But we know what it is. They don't want to be confronted. And we'll just leave it at that. To a point, we will. I said in episode 1 that I wouldn't beat you over the head with a lot of reviews, which I won't, because it's just not much to talk about a lot of times when it comes to the WWE shows or any show for that matter, no matter what it is. But today I'm going to do something different. This is going to be a few days late, but I just want to see what happens when I actually do this. I'm going to review, or at least go over Raw and SmackDown from this week right here, which is the week. It'd be Monday Night Raw, May 28th, 2018. So I'm recording this on the Saturday, and the issue with that is I have a lot of things on my plate as, a student. I work full time and everything. So I'm not going to be able to review things in real time. Heck, I may not be able to even review it the very next day, maybe a Wednesday. I can probably try and fit it in then, but, it'll probably be hit or miss a lot of times if I try to do that. And so if I do manage to get to a Raw review or heck, even a Impact review, it'll be a few days afterwards if it's possible. But it depends on how my schedule falls and what my workload is at my full-time job. So just for, kicks, I'm going to do this just to let you guys know what I'm seeing on the show based on, what somebody you may be hearing elsewhere or anything like that. But before I get into that, I'm going to just burn on a little IWC Logic thing that I saw recently on Twitter from a certain YouTube personality on Twitter. And when I hashtag IWC Logic a lot of times, what I'm talking about is the hypocrisy of a mindset. How easily people who are fans of this will have a tendency to go back on things they may have said before. And now I understand opinions may evolve, but when it comes to certain wrestlers, I tend to not want to believe certain people because a lot of times a certain wrestler may not have made but so many different changes in who they are for you to all of a sudden do a complete 180 on them. I just want to call BS sometimes, and it weirds me out sometimes when I listen to these things. So I saw a tweet yesterday. I'm not going to name the person. And they said that obviously Braun Strowman is the guy and not Roman Reigns. Now, I'll probably burn a few times on Roman Reigns later in the podcast, but that's low-hanging fruit. Okay? Talking about Roman is easy money for anybody that does this. And, I mean, the comments on the guy sometimes just launch off into fair, and sometimes they sink themselves to downright idiocy and myopia, and I just can't deal with that. So I'm going to talk about Braun Strowman for a minute. Braun I can remember when I first saw the guy when he debuted with the Wyatt family. I immediately stood up. I was like, who the heck is that guy? Which goes back to what I was saying in episode 1, that a lot of times that's what's missing in this business. And you really didn't get to hear much from him initially, but the first time he spoke, I think it was something along the lines of, this isn't the beginning, this is the end. The moment I heard the guy's voice, I was just like, if they play their cards right with this guy's going to be a star from Jump Street. I didn't care what it was going to be, how long it was going to take. I was just like, this guy's going to be something special. And when I finally got a chance to hear him, like, out of character, I guess you could say that, on Steve Austin's podcast, and find out he was a Carolina boy, from right here in North Carolina, just like me, I'm like, I was double sold. I mean, because great talent usually comes out of this state and in this area in general, and you usually can't go wrong with that a lot of times. And Braun, when he first went solo after the brand split, when all the entire Wyatt family all split up basically, and it was just Braun on Raw by himself, and the other 3, I believe, all went to SmackDown if I'm not mistaken. So Braun, he was squashing jobbers, doing his thing, but you heard the fans. You heard them all. They were chanting, "Let's go jobber," during this guy's matches. That's what they were doing. And certain people were hollering, get off my TV online, and tweets and things like that. They even made t-shirts about it. And these same people have all of a sudden turned around on the guy, believing that he is going to be the guy to take the company to the future. Not saying that it's not the truth, but you got a guy like me who's been sold on him from the beginning, and then you got these people who weren't into him initially all of a sudden make a 180 on him for the oddest reasons. Either because he was beating up somebody that they didn't like too much, or because all of a sudden he's giving them crowd participation trophies, which I'll get into in the podcast in this review. I look at Braun Strowman. 2 things have managed to change about that guy ever since he debuted as a single on Raw. Only 2 things about him have really changed. 1, he changed his finisher. They've gone with the running power slam as opposed to the reverse choke slam. If you go back and look at his initial squash matches, you'll see that, doing that against Ellsworth and those local jobbers and things like that. Same matches now that these same fans were chanting, "Let's go jobber" it, because we know we can't have squashes anymore. Every match has to be a competitive 15-minute squash fest, or 15-minute spot fest. Excuse me. And the only other thing he's changed is the fact that he's got a catchphrase now. The entire "get these hands" thing. Now, one thing I've noticed above all else about this crop of fans right now, they want to feel like they are part of the show. And one thing, it seems to be like, you're not over in their eyes if you don't give them something to do. They have to be out there, I don't know, you have to give them something to yell, other than what? You have to give them something to do with their arms or something like that. I mean, it's Nakamura's, humming along with Nakamura's entrance, yelling "Glorious" for Bobby Roode, yelling "Burn it down" for Seth Rollins. They're loving that. And now with Braun, it's just like they can't wait to they sit there and they're quiet when he's talking, not because they're enjoying what he's saying, but because they can't wait till he gets the part where he just finally says, "Get these hands." And if you don't give these people something to chant, if you don't give them something to do, it's like you're boring to them. But I understand that crowd reaction is important, but it's more important for the crowd to act accordingly and be fair to the talent, rather than just being so wrapped up into exactly what they want to happen, because the show isn't truly about the fans. The fans are just supposed to there to enjoy what's being put on, which is fairly lackluster at the moment. But as long as they have something to latch on to and participate in, then to them, said wrestler is better than a wrestler who doesn't give them a nice catchphrase to yell or an entrance that they can participate in. And to me, that's very disturbing because I can just remember when I was a kid, I was a young fan. We just simply, we cheered who we liked. We booed who we didn't. And most of the time we did that according to how it was presented to us. We didn't try to bend the will of the company to something else. See, that's the difference in then and now. It's just like when you're a kid, you're just like, yay, my favorite wrestler won, or yeah, oh man, I hate it when that guy wins. Now it's just like, man, who's booking this crap? And when I just wish a lot of times we could be more childlike when viewing this, because wrestling really is for kids. It really is. I don't care how semi-mature and the lines they toe a lot of times. Really, in general, you want to appeal to the kids so kids will remain fans into adulthood. And that's a lot of times what's missing these days. And when I sit there and I watch what they've done with Strowman, I mean, he's done a lot of that on his own. A lot of people, he's probably taken a lot of advice from people, but the very same people that they claim aren't ready, or the very same faults they claim are in other wrestlers, it's not like Braun has like broken the mold from any of that other stuff. I mean, I can't name one memorable promo the guy's cut, and yet they love harping on the mic skills of certain other wrestlers, or keep putting over wrestlers who can barely speak English. But this guy hasn't cut a memorable promo. But when he's talking, I understand what he's saying, and I believe what he's saying, and that's really all that matters. And as much as they claim they like, quote, great wrestling, I can't think of a classic match as they view it, some sort of miraculous 5-star classic that he's put on. So what really has changed for you to all of a sudden do a complete 180 on the guy? He gave you a crowd participation trophy. That's all he did. And that's all you seem to need today to make it seem like somebody's really over in your eyes. Because we know if you're not chanting something, if you're not getting the only exercise you probably get all week during their entrance, by all means, that means they're obviously over, right? And if they're not giving you that, that means they're not, right? I just don't understand this logic. Maybe one day I will, but right now, I don't think I ever will at this point. But anyway, on to Raw. That'll just be my rant on this IWC logic thing for a minute. Never know. Maybe I'll do that every single show. I just had to get that off my chest for a minute. And speaking of Braun actually opened this show on Monday Night Raw. This is, like I said, this is May 28, 2018. And he's doing a lot of crowd pandering, throwing the arms up, hitting both sides of the ring. So he's not hitting every corner Stone Cold style, but I don't know. It seems to hurt his presence a bit to me. And real quick, I'm going to be honest. This is a 3-hour show. I probably have a page and a half of notes. And I'm not understanding a lot of times how these guys go on like hour and 2-hour reviews about this stuff, other than just trying to get their viewer numbers up, maybe for listening time for YouTube or something like that. And I'm just looking at this. I don't understand it, but I'm going to go through this as best as I can. And then Balor comes out, of course, he's got his leather jacket. Of course, everybody wants to throw their arms up, but he's got a mic this time, so it's not going to happen. So, and honestly, I really don't care. The guy was first Universal Champion. I mean, you didn't really defend the title, bro. You didn't. So, you being Universal Champion is just going to be an asterisk in history, the fact that you'll be able to cling to forever. But I don't think you're getting it back anytime soon, Finn. So, anyway, Finn slaps Braun, and, Braun throws Finn like a sack of garbage that he is. And then Angle comes out, and then, boom, we've got another lazy promo that turns into a match, which is equals lazy booking as usual. And then Owens comes out on commentary. Goodness gracious, this guy, my God. Typical antagonist and nonsense, antagonizes Braun, antagonizes Finn. And then interference by Kevin Owens. Braun Strowman goes over. I've got WTF on my paper because I really didn't understand any of that. That really doesn't help anybody. And I don't know, Kevin Owens, he can just go away. I mean, always talking about this prize fighter and, Everybody's always talking about he's a family man and stuff. I'm like, dude, just go home, be a family man. Go get a case of Cracker Jack. You'll get a prize in every box. There's all your prizes with your time with your family, because right about now, until you get in shape, you just don't belong in this business right now. Not on TV in that capacity. And then we've got another Snapchat promo with Sasha. These things are so lame. I mean, this is what we're replacing backstage angles with, backstage interviews with these people holding up their phones. And I mean, I understand it's supposed to be this. I mean, the business has evolved and things have changed, but really, telephones. I mean, get back to gritty, please. Oh my God! And then we've got Elias out. Elias is somebody that I can get into. I've been into this guy since his NXT videos were airing, before he even stepped in the ring. I'm just like, yeah, this guy's going to be good. And even the hardest core of NXT marks thought I was crazy. And look at the guy now. All he's really got to do is strum his guitar, and everybody reacts. I mean, he can put the town down, and you're still reacting to the guy. They want to yell, but he's out there handing out participation trophies too. But if he wasn't doing that, he'd probably still be an effective guy. I mean, he can go in the ring. He looks the part. He sounds the part. And he's got a good gimmick about him, and he carries himself and he protects his business constantly. So that's what a star is supposed to be. And then Seth comes out, ushers him out of the ring. We wonder if something's going to come out of that. Seth versus Jinder, and open challenges are also lazy booking. The Intercontinental title should not be reduced to defended every single night like it's a consolation prize. The Intercontinental title was always supposed to be that it was always at least 1B in the WWF in the golden era, the Hulkamania days. It was always 1B to the WWF title. But because we know the Universal title is on Brock Lesnar, but I mean, I know the main title's now on the show, so you need something to defend. Well, this is where you need all those other supplementary titles, like a European Championship back. This is where you need to elevate the Cruiserweight title, so you're not bastardizing the IC title like this on said great worker like Seth Rollins. But we know he's going to tear the house down every single time with one of his matches, which is why everybody's going to keep putting him over and yelling, burn it down, with this guy who has no character, because this is this is a perfect role for him, which is exactly why he should probably be a Cruiserweight type champion. He's going to put on a great match. He's not going to have to talk a lot, because I can't stand the guy's voice. And, let's be honest, he sounds like that kid in school that tells everything, why don't we, hey, you forgot to sign his homework, that guy. That's what he sounds like. But the IC title being reduced to an open challenge, what happened to building somebody up to challenge for that belt? There's no storyline. See, the IC title was always involved in storylines in its heyday. I mean, it was always about something important. And it always built up to something great, like a Steamboat versus Savage, like a Perfect versus Bret Hart, or a Bret Hart versus Bulldog. It always built up to something important and some sort of crescendo, like it was always supposed to. But now it's just, pimped out every single week on somebody like a Seth Rollins, who just simply because he's going to put on a great match, that means it's good to have the belt on him, because to these people, that's good enough. I don't understand that, because it's unimportant if anybody can challenge for it. See, you should be bringing somebody up from the ranks to make it seem like they can beat the champion. And all Seth should be doing is being out there in that ring protecting his business. Give him a commentary spot. Come out there and make him scout his opponent or something like that. Build somebody up, but don't just have him come out there. I'm gonna wait in this ring. Who's next, baby? That's just not how the Intercontinental title was always supposed to be. But Seth ends up DQing himself, and I believe, what was it, one of the Singh brothers or something, and with a chair and whatnot. But Elias gets his heat back with a guitar shot. Hey, and the best thing about this whole thing, there was a Jamie Noble sighting when walking Seth off of there. Get a little throwback to J&J Security with those horrible terrible ratings in that horrible title run that Seth had the first time. But Jamie Noble's cool with me. I popped pretty big when I saw him. And next was the Nia Jax Ronda Rousey in-ring exhibition thing. We know good and well none of these people could probably put that arm bar on Nia Jax. The woman's a beast. Okay, we know, but a lot of times back in NXT, I believe Bayley took her out with a guillotine. Asuka softened her up with a guillotine. I believe they play off of that and believe that Nia's weakness is submissions. I think it could probably play out if they do it that way. My only thing is now, because of the character that Ronda Rousey is playing, now Nia seems like the bad guy, even though it was this big old bully struggle. She was being the victim of bullying, the bully struggle that brought her to eventually get the title from Alexa Bliss, which I was happy about, because I think Nia is a star. I mean, she's got the pedigree, but it seemed because of this angry side of her, because of what Ronda Rousey's getting and is perceived in the storyline, it makes her seem like the bully here. But technically, Ronda should be playing that role because she's the big bad MMA fighter, former champion, who should be there destroying everybody and breaking all these arms. But they're not even they're making her the big happy to be there smiley baby face herself, which just makes her like every other guy that's been signed from the indies, and she never wrestled a indie match in her entire life, which makes no sense to me. Then we got a Dana Brooke Snapchat, and again, doing her little Terry Runnels and Terry Runnels analytics thing with the chalkboard or whatnot. Again, just lazy backstage stuff. And you got the Leaders of Worlds versus the Ascension. I ain't see any point in this. Of course, the Leaders of World are over. Then you got the B Team and Kurt, backstage. I think Bo and Curtis, if they do this right, they could be that, happy-go-lucky, we're not as good as we think we are, babyface team that somehow managed to fluke into the tag team titles. I can probably see that coming. They could probably really break out if they try to. It's generic, but generic can work right now. It's probably better than what a lot of these guys are trying to do who have no character. The whole Riot Squad does a Snapchat. We've got vandalism going on here. I mean, where the cops at? I mean, whoever they were tearing up back there. I mean, call the cops. Get Liv Morgan taken away or something. Give me something here. Rude versus Owens. Owens over. Everybody loves. I'm sorry. This glorious Bobby Roode is awful. I mean, give me It Factor from TNA back, please. This Red Rooster robe wearing nonsense. It's just, I just don't see it. And then I got a note here about Coach saying, I can't wait to get to Chicago. Okay, that makes one of us. I'm just not fond of that crowd or those fans there who just. And I know the whole All-In event's going to be there, which is why it wasn't a surprise to me they sold out 10,000 seats there. But that's a podcast for another day. Sammy and Bobby. Why hasn't Sammy's entrance music and his entrance changed, people? He's supposed to be the condescending heel right now. This whole Woody Allen comedy gimmick thing he's got. I'm like, why on earth is he still coming out there smiling and dancing with that funny little hat and still dressing like a cab driver? With the checkers and stuff. I don't get it. Nakamura gets a ring music change, but not Sami Zayn. That still bothers me a little bit. I just don't understand it. He makes a good antagonist. Lashley comes out, they make a match, and squeezes his hand. Honestly, if Lashley doesn't kill him in 5 minutes, I'm gonna be disappointed in that. Mickey James Snapchat. I ain't gonna lie, Mickey James looking like Eva Longoria up in that piece. I ain't gonna lie. And Mickey too. I love how she changes her ring gear. She's constantly changing it, so she doesn't always look like the same person each week. And a lot of times, I believe it was Ben Hameen that said it on Russo's podcast one time. The reason why Rey Mysterio has so many action figures is because he has so many different masks and ring gear. And I think a lot of these wrestlers these days, they don't protect their business enough like that. That's part of protecting your business too. Making sure you're constantly changing yourself so you can have more business. Things like action figures. And honestly, they don't make a lot of female action figures. Mickey would probably have a ton of them because every week she looks different. You know, and like I said, she looked great in that. And she's a pro. She's a pro's pro. I mean, and then we got McIntyre versus Gable. Not understanding why. Please send Gable to 205 Live. I mean, I'm not necessarily downing the guy per se. I think he has value wrestling smaller guys. He's strong enough and physical enough. He can wrestle guys McIntyre's size, but I'm sorry. Give me a good match between him and Cedric Alexander. I might actually sign up for that. I mean, for real. The guy, he's just as physical as it. He'd probably be the most physical guy on 205 Live and bring a different flavor. If he can change his character to something different, kind of like Neville did, where he, something that can make him break out, something that can separate him, sort of the same way Enzo did. And I think like Neville did it, Enzo did it. Cedric Alexander, I like the guy, but he's that good worker. He's also a Charlotte guy, so I always will appreciate homegrown talent, literally homegrown for me. But I think if Gable would find something about himself, something personality-wise he can latch on to and maybe tap into it, he could be a character that can put that show over the top. But that's really where he needs to go. Drew's over in that match, of course. It just made no sense to me. Gable doesn't even have a tag partner right there. I'm not understanding why he's wrestling a guy who's in a tag team. Then the B team, barbecue, food fight. The food fight angle has been played out for a long, long time with this company, and I don't really understand why they keep going to it. And then the team battle royal was announced. So that'll determine the tag team number one contender, I believe it was. Then we finally get to the women's gauntlet match. That's the main event that's going to run through the rest of the show. Bayley beats Liv Morgan really quickly. Bayley beats Sarah Logan. Bayley beats Ruby Riott beats Bayley. Ruby Riott then beats Dana Brooke. Ruby Riott then beats Mickie James. And then, of course, Sasha Banks beats Ruby Riott. We knew that was going to happen. That was just extremely predictable. They might as well just brought Sasha out first and have her go through the entire gauntlet to really give her some really good momentum, get the crowd behind her going into Money in the Bank. But they didn't think of it that way. They just decided to just, have her go out last because Sasha, if you leave her to her devices too long out there, she's probably going to destroy herself or destroy somebody else. So might as well just let her go over on the most physical person in the entire match. And the women's Money in the Bank set: Ember Moon, Natalya, Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, Becky Lynch, Naomi, Lana, Sasha Banks. Here's the part where you probably asking me who I think was going to go over in that match. Honestly, I don't really know. I probably really don't care about this. My personal favorite, if you ask me, I really don't know. I'm just looking at these names, and Charlotte's already had it. I doubt they're going to put it back on her. Becky's long overdue to get the title back. She is the first champ. Naomi's been champ. Lana, I doubt it. I really don't see much value in her as a wrestler. She's gonna probably just be serviceable as enhancement talent and a manager. Sasha, I'm just over Sasha Banks. I honestly, out of everybody that came through NXT, I actually thought, men or women, I thought she had the biggest crossover potential, but she doesn't know how to protect her own business either. She just doesn't get it sometimes. So I guess the obvious choice would be Ember Moon. I'm going to just say that. And again, at the very end, Coach puts over to Smargaritaville. That is Chicago. Yeah, Coach, you're probably the only guy that's going to enjoy that. So then we're going to move on to SmackDown Live, which was the very next day. And like I said, that was just a page and a half of notes on Raw. And I don't understand how you can get an hour worth of talking out of this. I just really don't. Like I said, more power to you if you can. If you came here expecting more, I apologize if you're not getting more. But SmackDown, Samoa Joe comes out for the open, climbs the ladder, grabs the case. Joe was just an overrated promo. I mean, he just sounds like typical generic wrestling bad guy. I don't get it. I really don't. Here comes Brian out after Joe goes for the low-hanging fruit and insults his wife and his daughter. It's So, let's fight. Then Big Cass comes out on the crutch, beats them both up. I got no issue with that because Cass needs to keep his heat up. The guy's got to look of a star. I mean, honestly, I think he would look good carrying that case around, but we'll talk about that later in the show. Nakamura comes out. I really don't. It's Nakamura backstage. Who really cares? Paige and Absolution backstage again, yada yada. Paige and Renee. She makes Cass versus Joe versus Brian. Then Nakamura comes out. I'm a fan of the new music, but the twitching, never been a fan of. But that's about all I'm really a fan of Shinsuke these days. The new music's awesome, but everything else, not too much. Ty Dillinger comes out. This match was made because of Twitter, I guess. I mean, how dare you clap back at me on Twitter? Okay, and Ty Dillinger is Barry Horowitz. Yes, he's a jobber with a cool gimmick. But in honesty, that could be said for a majority of the talent that's signed on this roster, to be honest. Not trying to, do with the 10 count to play on the fact he's, fighting the perfect 10 and going into the last man standing match. So a little bit of storytelling there, but not much. Okay. More crowd participation trophies handed out. I got written down here with the Kinshasas and all that stuff. AJ backstage, a typical I'm a good guy promo. Nothing to see there really. Lana and Naomi dance off. No real comment. Lana hits a neck breaker. Yuck. Dumb. New Day versus the Bar and Miz. Xavier got the great hot tag in this. That's what I got here. New Day's over with the big ending solo by Biggie on the Miz. So I'm thinking, I'm really not sure who they're going to pick for their Money in the Bank spot, but I'll talk about that at the end. What else we got here? The Good Brothers backstage. These two are beyond boring. Anderson constantly talking about his hot Asian wife. Really? I just don't get it. I wonder how she feels about that sometimes. Bludgeon Brothers keep it simple, talking on the monitors. Andrade and Sin Cara backstage. What was the point? Okay, then we got the Cass, Joe, Brian qualifier triple threat. And Brian giving out more participation trophies with his entrances, so of course he's over. Shrimp and the Blimp comment by Tom Phillips. Absolutely brilliant. I know a lot of people online didn't like that. Man, I pop huge because it's darn accurate. Slow-paced match for the most part. Brian's timing is still off on certain things, but the guy can still go. Cass carries himself like a true heavyweight. He's not a crowd pleaser now. I mean, none of that hot tag with Enzo stuff. Now he's like stalking around, being deliberate, like a true heavyweight. I mean, he's slight, but let's be honest, the guy is legitly almost 7 feet tall. He shouldn't be, he shouldn't really be, diving all over the place and doing those weird spots. He should be, stalking you, hitting you with power moves, which he's doing now. Joe goes over by Brian passing out to Coquina Clutch. And after Brian hits his knee on Cass, then the submission goes in. And what else do I have here? Okay, so that means the Money in the Bank match for the men is now set. Bobby Roode, The Miz, Finn Balor, Braun Strowman, Rusev, Samoa Joe. Okay, and the New Day get to pick one, either Woods, Big E, or Kingston. Honestly, I'm looking at everybody in this match. I think the winner is going to be Samoa Joe. Oh, and I forgot Kevin Owens. Honestly, I probably would have had Kevin Owens win it the last time he was in the match. But I'm looking at this. I want Kofi to be in the match. I want Kofi to win it. I just think it's long overdue for that guy to get a big-time championship. He's people love talking about you deserve it and paid your dues and stuff like that. Who's paid their dues and been a good soldier more than Kofi? Really, think about that. I can't think of anybody else on the roster right now that hasn't had it. I mean, even The Miz got his run. But honestly, the run he's getting now, where he's at now, The Miz probably should... He's probably having a run now that he probably should have gotten when they put the belt on him in the first place after he cashed in on Randy Orton. And it would probably be more impactful if he actually had it now. But if I would have picked somebody, I'm pretty sure New Day's probably going to pick Big E, but it's a ladder match. Pick Kofi and let him win it. But honestly, Xavier's probably stood out a little bit more than all three of them the last few weeks. And I'm going to give the guy props on that. I mean, he's probably the best talker in the company. And that's saying something in a company that has a guy like Paul Heyman in it. But we can probably talk about that the closer we get to Money in the Bank or after the pay-per-view. Doesn't really matter. Post-match heat by Cass on Brian. They constantly keep Cass's heat up. That's probably one of the few things they're actually doing right these days. And I ended up watching this show on one of those replay videos on YouTube. I didn't actually watch the show live. That's just not what I do these days. I ain't got time for that anyway. With school, I'm usually here in the studio while the show's going on anyway. And this particular upload did not show the Mandy Rose versus Asuka match, so I ended up having to watch it elsewhere. I didn't even know the match existed, but the Sonya Blind side made Mandy get more offense than she would have otherwise if she had faced Asuka fresh. But Asuka was over with the Asuka lock. Carmella taunts, of course. I guess she was on commentary. I really couldn't tell. And that's both shows. So, yeah. So what I say a lot of times is, what are you telling people about the show afterwards? And I'm looking over all this. I've been talking here for about 30 minutes. I can't tell you anything that I carry from watching both of those shows on those replays that I can't wait to talk about with somebody, or I can't wait for the next show. Like I said, I'm gonna look over these notes again while I'm sitting here, and I really don't see much. The effort is just not there. I mean, Snapchat promos constantly turning into matches, or matches being interrupted, then all of a sudden being miraculously turned into a tag match. And yeah, I saw somewhere on Twitter one day, Teddy Long's legacy lives on. Yeah, that's exactly what. For those that weren't watching during the SmackDown 6 era, I believe it was. I'm gonna put you in a tag team match, player, and stuff like. Yeah, that's what they're talking about. And yeah, I just can't see anything. The women's gauntlet match, it didn't really do much. I mean, we knew who was going over, and she did. Like I said, even the show itself is predictable. I mean, you knew Elias was coming back with the guitar shot on Seth. Yeah, you knew there was going to be a match made between Sammy and Bobby. He really didn't get much out of it. Neither guy's really going to get much out of that. And we know the match between Elias and Seth is probably going to happen for the IC title. And honestly, I believe Elias should probably win that, but Seth is such a good week-to-week wrestler with that title on him that because of the lazy booking of open challenges, they're probably going to keep it on him. And like I say, I'm just looking at this, and I don't really have much else to say about it. But at SmackDown Live, I want to give a shout out to my friend Connie and her brother Derek, who were at the show. I promised Connie I'd give her a shout out on the show. And they probably had one of the best seats in the house you can probably sit at for exposure. They were on the corner seat on the aisle on the entrance ramp. And you could see them both in almost every single picture on WWE.com. And I thought that was awesome. I was like, hey, I know who they are. And yeah, shout out to you too. Like I said, I fulfill my promises whenever I say that. And going back to what I said about everybody that's shared and viewed on YouTube or whatever it is, I want to give another shout out to a friend of mine, Matt White, who's on one of the wrestling communities that I'm in on Google Plus. He's done a good job of sharing these things, and he's constantly putting me over about the commentary, because I'm pretty much the voice now of our community that we're able to get some thoughts like this out. So Matt, I appreciate you. You followed me on Spreaker and everything. kudos to you, my brother. And yeah, so that's my first Raw and SmackDown review. I'm not sure how many of these I can keep doing because I'm going to pretty much feel the same way each time. And like I said, if you're managing to somehow get an hour out of this, I got to give you props because I can barely get 45 minutes out of this. Maybe I could probably have stopped at 30. This is just lack of effort and laziness. Notice how I'm not putting the show over. But at the same time, like I said, because this is what I know, this is what I've always watched, I can't stop watching it. But some of you put it down so much and complain so much, I don't understand why you don't stop watching it yourself. But like as I keep saying, we know it's because YouTube sends you that check. Okay, kudos to you too. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And hopefully it'll be a little bit more positive the next show I review, or whether it's a pay-per-view or something like that. Until next time, hopefully it'll be more positive next time. But until next time, once again, from the Connecticut School of Broadcasting Studios in Charlotte, this is Adrian with As the Buckle Turns. And I'll see you next time.